All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we get into some social media current events, I guess you can call it. We have a couple more first world problems that I want to discuss, fan submissions, fan feedback, first world problems that grind your gears. We'll talk through, and we have a nice little cage fact to give to you guys. So all that's coming up right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti. It's a show that talks about nothing but finds the lessons and everything, and we try to have a good time doing it. Hope everybody had a good week. My week has been slammed. It was slammed, and this week now that the week you're listening to this show, another slammed week ahead of the road trip back to Texas. So a lot going on, not a lot of time to do, fun, festive activities, I guess you can say, around town. But we're getting stuff done. We're being productive. We're getting a lot of things done here at the house. We're getting a lot of stuff done with the business, with work, with life, everything. So it's all good, just busy. It'll be nice to be back at the LPDS compound to take a break, to get back in a nice calm routine before I figure out a way to make myself busy all over again. So hope everybody else had a less busy week, but also a productive and fun-filled week. Real quick, if you're looking at YouTube land, somebody brought this up and reminded me of this. It's just sort of the humor of it all. We talked about this previously. I put this backdrop up to I'm trying to use it. I'm trying to screw around with it, at least for spearhead related content and videos that I'm making, to see what works best, because I want to be able to keep a professional but also a common backdrop and setting for when I'm making like reels or videos of any kind for spearhead leadership stuff. I want to keep that kind of go along with the same like brand of professionalism, if you will. I don't want to have to I don't want to have to make a video in my office in Texas and then in the basement here with the backdrop of rubble in the background. I can't, I don't want to do that. I want to keep it consistent. So that was the big reason for this backdrop. But when you're filming for YouTube, the optimal camera angle is horizontal if you're using your phone. If you're using an iPhone, you want to have the phone horizontal when you're filming, because if you do it vertical, there's going to be dead space on the YouTube videos, and I am not that much of a professional when it comes to editing video stuff, so it takes a little bit longer. It's a little bit more difficult for me to come up with space fillers for that dead space on YouTube. All that being said, I realize the backdrop doesn't cover everything going on here. We've discussed this again, but I was reminded of the humor of it. It's almost like it highlights the chaos more so, because you see this blue flat background, and then on the sides here you see utter chaos. It's almost like mysterious chaos, like you see on my right, your left in YouTube. You see wrapping paper sticking out of who knows where. You see some pictures facing the other way, some files and boxes. We don't know what they're for, where they're going, who they're for, whatever. On my left side, we got my bags and my stuff here, my snacks in the back. We got this vintage Mickey Mouse telephone from, I think that was the 80s. My mother got that. So maybe even older, who knows? We're still looking for the rest of the phone, the actual headset. It's not really a headset because you use your hand to hold that handhold set. That's not it. But absolute chaos. And it was funny to be reminded of that. Like, hey, it looks even more ridiculous than if you had no backdrop on there at all. I couldn't agree more, but I do think it's funny. So we're gonna stick with it. This is the second to last dungeon episode we're gonna be doing for, the foreseeable future, not foreseeable future, for the next several months because I'm not gonna be back up here in New Jersey for a little bit. So we're gonna take advantage of it and go backdropping chaos on the sides. So thanks for the reminder though, and bringing that up because look, that shit's funny. I'm sorry, that shit's funny to me. We're constantly trying to run a professional operation here, and there's constant reminders of how amateur hour this really is, and it's awesome. Anyway, I don't have much today. I don't have much at all. I always say that, but as far as topics go, there's not much going on worth talking about. Um, I do want to give like let's call this just a gentle reminder, or not a warning, but like just a gentle reminder to everybody. Um, in this is a highly um, politicized window here. Okay, I'm sure you guys have picked up on that. If anyone's on any sort of social media, I'm sure you've picked up on that. We had the inauguration of Trumpy Bear. So with that comes all the stuff that's happening right off the bat. Happens every 4 years when there's a new president. And this window here, I don't know how long it's going to last, but everything is going to be highly politicized. It's going to be highlighted more than it should be. Everything's going to be a problem. It's a mess. It already is a mess and a nightmare to deal with. I like to go on social media, for my business stuff to look up um, people that I want to start following and learning from and this and that, or potential clients and the stuff I want to post on there for the business and personal life and stuff like that. And for funny videos and clips and jokes and also, just to kind of escape from it all with some funny videos and jokes. So I hate seeing, I'm on there a lot is what I'm really trying to say. And because of that, you're seeing all this crap. I can't tell you how many people are out there making mountains out of molehills over everything. Everything they see on the news and the media and about politically related stuff, even non-politically related stuff, they find a way to sneak in some sort of political bullshit in there. Um, I saw a bunch of videos recently about like the day of the inauguration, January 20th. People were going to whitehouse.gov, not .com. Don't go to .com. Go to .com. Go to whitehouse.com. Let me know what you see there. Um, and then if you don't like the president now, if you don't like Trumpy Bear, you can blame him for that. But go to whitehouse.com and let me know what you find. Anyway, people have been going to whitehouse.gov and they're clicking on pages and it's saying error 404, page not found, and people are freaking out about it. One guy went to the page to search for the Constitution on whitehouse.gov, and it said that page not found, and he made a video freaking out about Trumpy Bear pulling the Constitution because these guys are gonna, they're not gonna follow the Constitution. They're the devil, blah blah blah. There's another one, the Spanish version of whitehouse.gov, same thing, and it said there was a button that said "Go home," and they took that like, oh, that must mean they're gonna send all the Mexican and Spanish people home to their own countries and kick them out of this country and this and that. Um, Here's the thing. It has nothing to do. I don't care who you voted for, who you like. You know that. You know how I feel about that. I don't care who you voted for or who you dislike in the political world. Got it. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I'm here for your opinions. Love it. I love that everybody has differing opinions. That's what I prefer. Differing, unique, individual, independently thought out opinions. That's what we do here at the LPDS. That's what we promote. But we have to be better at critical analysis. And I know you guys are at the LPDS in the universe here. I'm asking you, like a reminder to you, to spread the word of the LPDS and the importance of critical analysis and thinking for yourself and not just believing what you see on the surface of every headline and 2-second video and this and that on social media, because that's what they want. They want you to emotionally react to the quick clickbait shit and then go after the people who don't feel the same way you do and create that division. And we're not about that here at the LPDS. So this is a reminder to you guys to keep doing that, keep critically, assessing situations and thinking for yourself and looking into things more than just reading quick headlines and spreading that word to the rest of the people in your stratospheres. Because anybody who took 1 second to inhale once, take a breath, and think about this would have realized, like, hey, it's a new administration. Okay? What was on whitehouse.gov for the past 4 years was all information and data and articles regarding the previous administration. And when the new administration takes over, they basically close the website down until they can update it with the new administration's information. And if you look at it now, or at the time I'm looking at it now, when at the time of this recording, it's like 2 pages. It's got info on Trumpy Bear, his vice president, and their spouses. That's basically all that was on there the last I checked. That's it. They're updating things. There hasn't been many articles written regarding the administration and about stuff that would be on that website. So there's nothing there yet. There never was the Constitution on whitehouse.gov. It was an article about the history of the Constitution. You can Google the Constitution and it'll show up for you, and the words are still the same. Nobody's tearing it up. Okay? The Spanish whitehouse.gov has the same information now back on there, except it's in Spanish. Okay? Let's not freak out. Now, I know some of these people made these videos on purpose just to drum up, stir the pot. And then some of these people made videos because they got got. They thought they freaked out about it. They heard somebody else complain about it, so they had to also complain about it and pile on. 4 years ago, the other folks did it. The other side was doing it too. The anti-Bidens were freaking out about him changing the website, and it's all malarkey now, and he's ruining this country and this and that. It's every 4 years, guys. You guys know the patterns. So be mindful of that. Be aware of that stuff that's going on. The other thing to be aware of, more generally speaking, are all the social media politicians that are coming back out of the woodwork. They're there during the campaign when the news is only pushing political stuff and campaign stuff to us to make us think that's the most important thing going on, when there's plenty of other more important things going on. And then they push it again during inauguration, and then after the president starts with the executive orders. They did it 4 years ago too. Joey B pushed out a bunch of his executive orders in day one and week one, and the other side was bitching and complaining about it too. You see the same people complaining. 4 years ago, people complained that Instagram and Facebook and Meta were forcing me to follow Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. I didn't want to follow them. This is malarkey. This is bullshit. I can't believe this is happening. And now 4 years later, the other side is doing it. Oh, I can't believe Meta, Zuck, that cuck, he's a Trumpy cuck now, and he's forcing us to follow JD Vance and Trumpy Bear on Instagram and Facebook, and I never follow them, and I don't know why they're doing this. Guys, you're following the president's Instagram and you're following the vice president's Instagram. Okay? They will change when a new administration takes over. Okay? All of you guys crying and whining that you started, they were forcing me to follow Joey B. You were already following the presidential profile or the vice presidential profile. And now 4 years later, it automatically changes because guess what? We have new president and vice president. Okay, that's just another example of things we have to be mindful of. And instead of reacting, we have to follow number two of the big three, take that LPDS step back and realize it's it's not as targeted and aggressive and complicated and malicious as you think it is. Okay? And I would highly recommend you tune out and mute and not follow any of the other politically driven posts and story updates and bullshit that's going on right now. Because there's going to be a lot of bullshit, a lot of spin zones and twisting of words and purposeful misinterpretations of things to get people up in arms against each other. Okay? It happens every time there's a new administration. We can't keep getting hooked into the same reactionary, tactics on the internets. We have to be better than that. I can't believe we had to say it every 4 years. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me say it every 4 years because you don't prescribe to that. You don't fall victim to that. I get it. But it's out there and it's the same people. It's the same people. You could set your watch to it. If there is a Republican administration in there, I know the list of people from friends and family to celebrities to different organizations that are going to be all up in arms and push the same propaganda. All of them are, there's going to be little social media echo chambers of each other. You can guess. Oh, I know this person's going to say this. And then subsequently, these 10 people are going to say the same thing too because they follow that person and they're all parrots of each other. And then if there's a Democrat in the president's seat, the same thing on the other side. I know the list of friends and family and celebrities and organizations who are going to have a problem with it, and they're going to say this, and then these other people are going to follow along the line because they parrot everything that person at the top says. It's the same crap. I just wish more people wouldn't buy into it so easily and so aggressively all the time. I really do. And I'm not speaking to anyone specifically, but you know who you are. If you're listening to this and we're friends, or you're just a fan, and you've done this before and you're doing it now, just take a quick look in the mirror and think about it for a second. Just take time to think about what you're doing and why. Because it's not helping anybody. It's certainly not helping you. I promise you, if you're doing this stuff on a regular basis with the posting and the anger and the spin zones, I I bet you you're not happy in your life. I'd be willing to bet you're feeling down and depressed about something, and you're just what's the word I'm thinking of? Projecting. You're attaching it to that and saying this is the reason why I'm depressed and not happy, but it's not the reason. This is just an easy vehicle for you to attach to get angry about stuff and to project and communicate out your problems. So go talk to somebody, talk to a professional to find out where the real root of the problems are and get those worked on, and get out of the social media world, folks. Get out of the politics and the bullshit there. Focus on the jokes and the fun times, and that's it. And I promise you'll be much better off in life. Anyway, that's it. That's the warning. Stay away from the bullshit. Stay away from the bullshit. If you want to talk to me about how to find better information, I'm not the expert. I'm not sitting here with all the answers. Like, this is where you go to find the truth of it. Like, I can at least help let you know what I do if I'm curious about a particular topic that pops up in the news or the media or whatever. and I want to find out information. There's some things I do. There's some places I go to look up, and there's some more reliable sources, in my personal opinion, that I can gather information from and form educate myself on it and maybe form an opinion if I feel it if I feel strongly enough about something. So I can always help with that, I guess. But don't get caught up in the bullshit. You'll be better off for it. And that's it. And tell your friends too. Tell them like, hey, what are you doing? You're not you're not helping anybody. You're helping yourself. You're miserable. You're stressed. You got anxiety. You're depressed too. This is not going to help. Don't You're just going to be spiraling. Go work out. Go follow the big three. Go listen to the LPDS. Share a few laughs. Make fun of this jabroni with this stupid background, and have a good time with it. Anyway, with that, let's get into the good stuff. Step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by, I don't know why I just squeaked there, proudly sponsored by the Expiration Ethyl. Are you tired of buying a whole bunch of food, storing that food, then when you finally go to eat it, you find out it's been expired for months and you just pissed away all that money for nothing? Then hire yourself an Expiration Ethyl today. The EED is a custom-built geriatric who sits in a wheelchair inside your pantry or your refrigerator, staring at the expiration dates of all your food. And once those food items hit 1 week to expiration, your geriatric will incessantly remind you multiple times a day to ensure you eat that food before it goes bad. And if you don't want to hear a nagging old lady, you can always choose the Expiration Eugene model instead, which is a World War II vet who sit there and remind you that they had to eat expired beans and Nazi scraps in the trenches, and you should be thankful to have all this non-expired food available to you. So to never have to waste food again, visit www.foodfuhrer.com and use the promo code CHUNKYMILK for 29% off. I don't I don't know. That's it. Get a nagging old bag to tell you your food's about to expire so you don't waste your food. Dungeon sponsor, folks. Anyway, the Cage fact. As we know, Nic Cage is in the middle of the Spider-Man Noir TV series production. It's been brought to my attention that this is going to be a intense, expensive, what's another word I'm thinking of? It's an intense, expensive, really not over the top, but really in-depth sort of series based as much as possible off of the comic of Spider-Man and what have you. I guess there's a Spider-Man Noir specific storyline that they're following. I don't know comics very well. I'm not a comic book fan, but I never was addicted and super, into comic book storylines. So you can't go by me. But with that, Nic Cage has been heavily involved in the direction and ensuring, the storyline stays followed and making suggestions and giving his thoughts on what special effects to use and how elaborate and stuff the production's going to be, because he is very passionate about comics and the stories and what have you. As you know, from years ago, we talked about his vast collection of comic books that he had to sell, and one of them was stolen, and he had to get it back, and all this stuff. He's big into comics and superheroes and what have you. So he's been heavily involved in that. They're saying that the executives behind this, they're in over their heads because it's becoming a real animal of a production. There's a lot of money going into it. There's a lot of special effects that need to go into it. But they said because of Nic Cage's influence, it really is shaping up to be something special. So not only is he just the lead role, he's influencing the production of it, I guess you can say. Now, if it stinks, I promise you, I will find other people to blame on the production side. Don't you worry about that. But if it's great, we all know why. Because the great one is behind it all. So I'm excited for it. I still don't have information on when it's going to be released. I don't think they put out any specific dates yet on when the first season is going to be out there. But I'm excited. It's his first TV show. It's his first. He's been turning down TV roles for years to focus on movies, and then obviously his stint of made-for-TV movies to pay off his debts and what have you. So this is the first time he's going to be a star in a TV show. Technically, TV show. It's not a movie, obviously. You don't need me to over-explain that. So I'm excited for it. And that's the Cage fact. There you go. All right. Moving on over to the Junction. We'll spin the logo up. We're just talking about a couple more first world problems that grind people's gears. I was really happy to get fan submissions and continued feedback on the stuff that I felt was, a first world problem in my life. I will say several people, and including the creature, sort of had my back on the whole if you like stealing people's lunches at the office or in general. Several people have informed me that that is not a first world problem. That is a war crime and will be handled as such. And I agree. I think you heard me talk about it, but I'm picturing, I know we know the creature. He is a top tier character in the LPDS universe. He's a recurring guest. We know what the creature is capable of. So just the thought or just the image in my head of I know how he is with food too. Okay, and thinking about some dumb bastard stealing his lunch at work, especially with his job and the environment that he has to, the high stress environment he is in the aviation world, and he has to go on his lunch break and he goes to the fridge and his lunch is gone and it's been stolen. I mean, all hell will be paid if that was the case. Now I'm thinking, if what if that guy gets caught in the act? He's sitting in the break room eating the lunch. Ah, that guy he's dying. That's the fate of that guy. It'll be his last meal. People always ask you like, what's your death row meal? What would your last meal be? Whatever. It's probably for that guy, it's gonna be chicken and vegetables or chicken and rice or whatever the creature made that day. That's it. So I hope he enjoyed it. I hope he got it all down because he's dying. Okay? And it's not going to be a painless death. It's not going to be a quick one either. So I appreciate other people. Again, same with like the other problems I was talking about. I appreciate other fans out there, feeling the same sort of way about some of this stuff. And I just know that if someone stole my lunch, how I would react. So I can only imagine how some of you guys would react if someone stole your lunch, knowing some of the people who reached out to me. So that was just fun to think about. We're not going to kill anybody here, folks. You know the drill at the LPDS. We're not gonna we're not we're it's all jokes and fun times, but these are also fun things to think about if you have a dark sense of humor like myself. So you can blame the war on that or whatever other excuse I have for having a dark sense of humor, but we have fun here. Anyway, I got some more fan submissions. which I like. I want to talk about. One of them, I didn't even think about this, and I don't know why I didn't think about this because this happens to me multiple times a day, every single day. I think it's maybe just because I've gotten so numb to it. It's just an expectation at this point, but it's putting in the USB into the conduit, the jack upside down or the wrong way every single time. And that plagues me as well. And I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. You go to plug in your phone into your computer or a USB cable into your computer or anything, TV, whatever, and it's the wrong way. And you got to flip it. And it's just a little thing, but it adds up. It's 1 second to put it in wrong, realize it, flip it, put it in correctly. Maybe it's 1 second. But if you think about the number of times it happens to you throughout the day and how many days it happens to you throughout the week and the month and the year, that's a lot of time wasted. That is a lot of time spent doing something you didn't have to do if they just had some sort of better system to show us how to put this in the right way the first time. And I know I'm blaming big USB here. Like they need to have a better, but it's really not because if you think about it, USBs have. I don't know if you see it in YouTube land. It's way too far away from the camera. Let's see if you can see it there. You can kind of see it in the light right there. Bang. You could see the USB symbol on the top. That means this is the top of the USB. So you would face this up or, depending on where the thing is. And that's where the whole crux of things happens. The conduit, the jack on your computer or on your TV, that's the thing that creates the problem because some TVs have it on one side and rotate it a certain way vertically. Some TVs have it on the other side and have it rotated a different way. So on one TV, it might go in, one way, and then you're like, okay, well, I got to dial in on this TV. I got to dial in on the sideways USB. How you doing? And then you go get another TV, and it's the opposite. You don't know it. Bang! You put it in wrong. You're like, what the hell just happened? I thought I had this figured out. Same with computers. For whatever reason, my computer, my work laptop, has it in different locations and different rotations. Like you could call it upside down. What I guess according to them, it's not upside down on that computer, and then I do on my personal computer. And it's also different on the little USB adapter here I have on the connected to my laptop now that has a couple more USB ports. That's the ports, not conduits, ports. All of them different. Different companies have the ports set up differently, and you're always wrong. And like I said, at this point, I think I'm just numb to it because I know. I'm looking right now. This is a USB for a mouse. I know, like this is going to be wrong, and I put it in wrong, done, and that's what happens. And then I get angry. I flip it. I get it back, and you do like a little huff and puff, like Jesus, here we go again, every day, every single time. And forget about it if you're trying to rush to hook up a headset while you got like a Teams meeting or a Zoom call you got to get into. You're fumbling with it, and as you get stressed and as time's a ticking, you're getting worse and worse with the effectiveness of getting into that port the right way. It's troubling. It's very troubling. And also though too, it's a very first world problem. I promise you, there are about 12 people outside of, I guess South Africa is a little bit more developed maybe, but there are probably like 12 people in all of the continent of Africa who have to deal with that on a regular basis and understand that pain. They have far different problems and annoyances going on in their lives and their existences. So I get it. Not really a big deal, but also a big deal. So thank you for that submission. Couldn't agree more. All right, the next one we got here is movie spoilers. This person realizes that it's just it's just a movie or a TV show or whatever. It's entertainment, but people spoiling the ending or the storyline of those movies or TV shows or whatever um, really grinds their gears. And I would be willing to bet that they would say people who don't understand, don't even know that they don't realize they're spoiling it. They don't know what spoilers are. Probably also grinds their gears. I had to do a quick video stop. My mother had to come down and get some food from the fridge down here in the dungeon because she must have got the reminder from Ethel that it's about to expire. So we're gonna cook it and eat it tonight. So that was that. That's what you get here in the dungeon, folks. Now, I didn't want to record her, if she, especially if she doesn't want to be. I don't like forcing people on camera or even on audio, even if it's going to be a funny clip or whatever. If they don't want to be on there, I'm not going to do that to them. And I'm pretty confident my mother does not want to be on camera, especially after all day working, and now she's trying to make some food. So you got to respect that. So I paused the video, and now we're back. So movie spoilers. Again, not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, especially if you're living in a place that doesn't have movie theaters or running water or a toilet. They don't give a shit about spoilies. But here, it's annoying to this person. It's not annoying to me. I will say this, but I do understand why it bothers people, and I try to be a little bit more mindful of it. I used to not give a shit. I still sort of don't give a shit, but if you're my friend or a family member and I care about you, I'm gonna do my best to remember what a spoiler might be as they see it, because I don't think my interpretation of what a spoiler is and what other people's are is vastly different sometimes. Sometimes it's the same, sometimes it's different. It's person to person dependent. So I'm trying to be a little bit more mindful to the people I care about, what they believe to be a spoilie. So I'm not doing any of those spoilies for them. The people I don't care about or I don't know very well or just acquaintances, they're not important, they're not part of the circle, they're not part of the LPDS universe. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be sound mean, but I couldn't give a shit less if I'm spoiling anything for you. And if I don't like you, I'm getting better at this too, but there was a time where I would be purposely spoiling shit on you. Just to just to give you that jab, just to let you know, hey, I don't like you. And I hear your request, and not only do I deny it, I'm doing the opposite. That's how little I respect you. But I'm trying to be better about that. I don't do that anymore at all. At least on the movie side of spoilies, because I'm trying to follow big three every day, and number two of the big three would not be followed if I did something like that or continued to be a shitbag like that to people I don't like. But I understand, like if somebody doesn't like to get the movie spoiled or a storyline spoiled or anything like that, close friend of if it's a close friend or family member, I do my best to try to not do that. Um, and I try to give a time window of like, all right, this is a new movie out. I'm not going to even talk about this with somebody for at least this long because that gives them plenty of time to go see them. If they like the movie that much and they want to see how it ends that much, this is a good window for them. That this is enough time for them to go and actually see it. If they don't meet that time window, then they clearly don't care enough about it, and then my empathy goes down. I care a little, way less about spoiling shit. If it's been 6 months and you have not seen this movie, I my level of care goes down drastically. Now, if they ask me like, "Hey, I've just been busy. I wanted to go this time, but it didn't work out. I still really want to see it. And don't want to ruin it." Okay, fine. You got your window has been extended. But if you say nothing, and then I'm talking about it, and a spoiler pops out of my mouth because I flap my gills all the time, and sometimes I have no idea what's coming out of it, so to speak. And a spoiler just happens to pop out, and you get all up in arms about it. I'm not gonna care. I'm gonna be like, sorry, you had 6 months, you didn't say a damn word about it. That's not my problem anymore. I make it my problem in the beginning. And again, if somebody brings it up, I'll keep making it my problem and my responsibility to do what I can to not spoily. Because I respect my friends and family members and the important people in my life, just like they respect me. They do the same sort of stuff for me, for my stuff that they probably think is stupid too. Because there's a lot of stuff I do that I think is important to me that I'm sure they're like, this is stupid. Why would he care about this? But they never let me know about it. They respect the shit out of it, and that's what good friends do. And I appreciate that. So I'm going to return the favor as best I can. But if you don't say anything, at the very least, you can't get mad at me for flapping my gills and doing spoilies. Because I don't think a lot of the shit I say is spoilies, and a lot of other people do think it's spoilies. That's just a difference of opinion there. And if it spoils it for that person, then I get technically it's a spoiler. That's another thing too that I'm trying to be more mindful of. Perception is sort of reality when it comes to spoilies. Just because I don't think it's a spoilie, if it ruins the movie for somebody, if it spoils the movie for somebody, even if it's just one scene I'm talking about or one part of one scene, and it ruins it for them, even if I disagree, I could be like, that was nothing. There's no way it spoiled that. It's on them. If it spoiled it for them, that means it's a spoiler and I blew it. That's one thing I'm trying to get better at, is understanding that what I consider to be a spoilie is different than what they consider to be a spoilie. And I have to respect their interpretation of the spoilies a lot better than I have been in the past, because I don't like doing that where it's like, that's not a spoilie, get over it. It ruined it for them. That if it was even one sentence or one quote from a movie that ruined it for them, it ruined it for them. Now I will always push back and be like, hey, you need to figure out your shit to get better at not being that negatively affected by one quote of a movie, so that you can still enjoy it. But I am sorry that I blew it for you in that regard. We both need to get better. Okay? Responsibility has to be taken on by all parties in that regard. But if I don't like you, I'm going to recite the whole damn movie to you. Or at least I used to. I used to recite the whole movie. I'm getting better at it. But I'm certainly not going to give one shit if I give a quote of a movie and you come out, you're like, oh, you ruined it, I haven't seen it yet. Hey, dude, good. I'm going to tell you more because I don't like you. And you don't respect me, therefore you're going downtown, baby. You're going right down to Chinatown, and I'm taking you with me. None of that made sense. But you know what I'm talking about. I don't care. If I don't like you, I don't care if I spoil it. If I like you, I care, and I feel bad about it. I'm trying to get better at it. But I don't care personally about spoilies. Long story longer, I don't care personally about spoilies. In fact, when you can talk to my brother Sticks, every time he goes to see a movie, that he's big on spoilies. Big on, like, I don't want, he doesn't like spoilies. And I always say, how was it? Good. I was like, tell me what happened. Oh, I can't. I'll spoil it. Hey, I'm not going to go see the movie. Just tell me. That's what I say all the time. I'm not going to the theater. He just saw Gladiator 2. Or he didn't just see it. He saw it when it first came out. I think it's streaming now. I think before it was available for streaming, I think he saw it in theaters like the first week it came out. And he told me, I saw Gladiator 2. I was like, how was it? He's like, oh, it was good. Which I don't agree with. It's Gladiator 2. Why did they make a 2? I know it was the money grab. Why would they make a 2 thing? Like, if anyone went in there thinking like, oh, this is going to be a great sequel to Gladiator, and not going in there thinking like, this is just a money grab, but they got my money anyway because it's action. Like, there's no way that movie's going to be that good. There's no way. And I think Sticks just wanted it to be good, so he convinced himself that it wasn't as bad a movie as it was. Like, I'll ask him a year from now, and I bet you he won't have the same opinion as he did when he first saw it. Because he was like, "Oh yeah, it's a good action movie. Obviously, it's not the same, but it's still a good movie on. If it was made by itself, if it was made without Gladiator 1 ever existing, it would have been a really good movie. But because it's Gladiator 2 and this and that, I don't buy that. I just don't think it's going to be a good movie, and I'm not spending my money to go see it." But he told me, I was like, tell me about it. And he's like, no, no, you got to go watch it. I was like, no, I'm not watching it. I'm not going to go watch it. I'm not going to spend money to stream it or anything like that. Unless Marissa Tomei is my girlfriend and she's like, I want to watch Gladiator 2. That's the only way I'm watching it and spending my money on it. Otherwise, I'm waiting for it to come out on VHS on Canal Street and somebody gives it to me. That's it. So he, didn't want to spoil. I was like, just tell me what happened. And he told me. And it sounded like a movie that I am happy to not be spending money to watch. I like Denzel Washington. He's in it. I think Pedro Pascal might be in it too, if I remember correctly. Or maybe I just saw a trailer and a guy looked like him. I don't know. But I like those guys. Still not going to spend money to see it. It's Gladiator. I'm not watching Gladiator 2. And I'd be willing to bet people who objectively watch movies, who have a good head on their shoulder when it comes to movies and have seen that movie already, will say a very similar thing. Probably like, yeah, not not great. Like it's Gladiator 2. I'm glad I didn't see it in theaters. I maybe you just streamed it and paid $5 instead of $16 or whatever. I don't know. But I'm sure all my friends who are listening to this right now, or anybody listening to this with half a brain when it comes to cinema and they have seen it, will say something similar. Yeah, you're not missing much. They might have enjoyed it, but I, I can't think of anybody I know or anybody in the LPDS universe who would tell me, "Oh, you have to go see it." I bet you they would all tell me the similar thing. Like maybe someone would be like, "Oh yeah, I actually liked it, but not it's not worth going to the movies to go see." So, um, I don't care. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't care about spoilies. Spoil the movie. Tell me how it ends. If I'm interested in the movie, I'm still gonna go see it. And that's that. There's very few movies. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There are very few movies that I was like, ooh, maybe don't tell me. I really like. There's a couple movies where you really want to experience, like you hear about probably earlier on when I was a kid, and it was less like so there was no social media out there, so it was a little easier to hide and reveal, spoilers obviously, and how a movie ends. But maybe. Maybe Saw, the first Saw movie was one of those where I think some people were like, listen, I know you don't care about spoilers. You're gonna want to watch this before don't get a review from people. Find out for yourself how it ends. Because I always ask like, oh, who's the killer? But sometimes for those movies, at least on the horror side or a mystery, like a detective mystery movie, like the Glass Onion ones. I'll say, hey, don't tell me. I want to try and see if I can figure it out before the end of the movie. And then I'll tell, like, especially if I'm going to the movies with Sticks or somebody, or we're watching on Netflix together. Um, I'll watch a few. We'll watch, first 20 minutes of it, and then I'll tell him, like, hey, this is who I think did it, and he's seen the movie already, so he can like, tell me like yes or no, or let me know if I'm close. But some of those movies I like to not get the super spoilies at the end there because I like to guess myself and spoil it for myself. Otherwise, I don't care about spoilies. I just or at the very least, if I did care, like I wouldn't be mad. Like, oh, did you find out who this is the killer of Saw? It's like, nuts. All right, well, I'm gonna go see it anyway. Let's find out how they do it, how they get to that part. I'm still gonna go see it and enjoy it. It's not gonna ruin the movie for me. I think that's why I don't consider it to be a spoiler because it's not spoiling anything. It's just making it a little less fun for me to play the guessing game. That's all. That's all. Otherwise, spoil away. It's never going to be a spoily to me because I don't care about spoilies. So if you like talking about movies, feel free to talk about every single aspect of the movie to me because you will not spoil it. I don't, I don't, they're not spoilies to me. And we can have a good conversation about a movie that you enjoyed and want to talk about without having to worry about ruining the movie for me because you won't. I'm still going to go see it, still going to have a good time. Or maybe I'm not going to go see it because you told me the movie was crap and I'll believe you. So there you go. But thank you for the submissions there. That's all I got for today, folks. That's it. I don't know how long we went. There's no timer on my video here. I like to think we went quicker than usual, but knowing me, probably not. Probably not. That's okay. You guys are, you're sticking around, and I appreciate you for that. Before we go, though, very quickly, the big three, the three pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being and spreading that positivity and goodness to all those around you and throughout the land. Number one, exercise every day. Do something every day that works on your fitness levels, physically, mentally, or emotionally. Okay, whether it's a physical workout or you're breaking a mental sweat or you're doing the emotional work needed. Somebody's calling me, I'm not answering it. Number two, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty person, be a kind person. It's the hardest one to do because you're emotionally charged up when you see people being assholes online or even in real life and you want to respond and you want to, give them a piece of your mind. You really want to stick it to them and give them the karma that they deserve. And sometimes, a lot of times, people deserve it. But I'm asking you to take that LPDS step back, separate yourselves, detach from those negative emotions, and remove yourself from the situation altogether. As simple as that. Just don't respond at all. Just get out of there. Turn your phone off, close out Instagrams, whatever. Because that way you're minimizing the negativity and the shit going on in the world and in the internet and the stratosphere around you. And now you have the free time and capacity, the mental brain capacity to go focus on more positive, productive things with your lives. But I get it. It's very hard. It's a constant effort to do that. And I fall victim to fail in the number two of the big three a lot. So, but we're working through it. Number three, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. And this past topic that we've been talking about, these first world problems, is sort of a good way to do that because it allowed me at least, and that I'm sure you guys too, while thinking about it, allowed you to take the LPDS step back and realize like this is not a real problem, except for someone stealing your lunch. That's a war crime. War crime. But some of this other stuff, we know in the grand scheme of things, this is not a real problem. We have it pretty good that we can watch movies in theaters or on streaming services instantly on our phones or TVs, or have running water to do never-ending wipes, or have USBs and computers to plug USBs into. Those are all good things, and we realize that, and we're grateful for that. I'm grateful that my biggest problem is a never-ending wipe with toilet paper on a toilet that has functioning plumbing. That's a pretty good problem to have in life because the alternative is no TP, no toilet, taking dumpies outside like an animal, and then living in that filth. That's no way to live. So I'm thankful for that, and I'm asking you guys to be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives too. And if you do all those three things, focus on them a little bit each and every day, more and more every day. Consistency with it every single day. Slowly but surely, I promise you, you'll be a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being. You'll be able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you and throughout the land. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTubes and Instagrams and Spotify and Apple, and tell your friends and enemies, and hit that hotline 202-670-1114. Tell your friends and enemies the hotline number 2 and call on the hotline with all your questions and jokes and bitches and gripes and spoilies and what have yous. 202-670-1114 is the number to call. I love the hotline. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.